Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 4,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 110 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Don't you want to sound rich?
Welcome to the 64th episode of Social Suplex's podcast about AEW with a proclivity for positivity. Welcome to all things elite. My name is Austin Summons. I am the host for you today, and joined with me, as always, is my very good friend Floyd. Floyd, how you doing?
I am doing well. It is a great Sunday here, 3 days before my birthday, so I'm super excited and pumped up. My wife is probably tired of hearing about my birthday because I talk about it a lot because I'm pretty much all about my birthday.
Yeah, well, it's your day. You have every right to be talking about that. So, and if everybody wants to be ready to tweet at Floyd for his birthday wishes, be sure to tweet him at Floyd Johnson Jr. Do that. Spam his timeline with nonstop birthday messages when it comes out, or do it early. Do whatever you want, because you know what? For a lot of people, their birthdays are like week-long endeavors. So you know what? Just it's a day, it's a week for celebration, and it's definitely a huge moment for you. So yeah, you have every right to talk about it.
Yes, and I'm old as shit this year. I turned 39. I'm excited about that.
All right. Nice. Well, obviously, this week we have many things to talk about. We got Being the Elite, AEW Dynamite, a lot of news coming forward, and how we got to talk about Fyter Fest coming up. But first, the first thing we want to do to start off the show is remind you guys that this episode of All Things Elite is brought to you by Powerslam TV. Powerslam TV is where you can get access to over 4,000 hours of content from over 110 of your favorite wrestling brands from around the country and all around the globe right on your laptop and mobile devices. And if you use the code Social Suplex, you get the first month completely free. And also, I want to make sure that you are downloading this fine show on Google and Apple Podcasts. So if you can, please leave a rating and a review if you're so inclined to. We'd be very appreciative of that. And you can leave a donation through our new podcast provider, Red Circle. Be sure to support us by following the podcast on Twitter at ATElitePod. Follow Social Suplex at Social Suplex. Follow myself at SZoomer4. And like I said before, follow Floyd at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. Now, with all that out of the way, let's start off with the big AEW news of the week. And that is being headlined by the fact that Fyter Fest has been announced for a date, and it is going to be 2 separate shows. So the dates for the shows are going to be July 1st and July 8th. So they're spreading it out a little bit to make it seem super big. And I think just to make sure that everybody gets a good spotlight, because I think they've got a lot of matches that they're planning to get on this show. And I think it's just going to make the show a lot better. We saw WWE do this with WrestleMania and had a lot of great matches on there that wanted to get equal time. So that way the fans didn't get worn out. So I think this is only a good thing for the wrestlers. Now, Floyd, what do you think about this news?
I am super excited. I, of course, We're not happy that the original Fyter Fest got moved from the UK. I would have loved for them to get their first show for all of our UK people out there, but this seems like a great alternative. First and the 8th, you get 2 big Dynamites, pay-per-view quality Dynamites. That's kind of amazing. All titles will be on the line. That is amazing. So I get some Cody. You get the tag team belts. I'm just pumped up about the show. It's only thing is, I wish I could be there, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I genuinely do feel bad. I have much love for the United Kingdom. I have a lot of friends there. I've obviously worked with the Cultaholic guys, and I feel awful that they missed out on this. But I feel like with the fact that they mentioned that they were planning on doing this in the first place, once everything calms down, I'm sure AEW will be making its joyous debut in the UK as soon as possible, because I'm sure fans over there are clamoring for like a huge pay-per-view to be held in the UK, and I'm sure just to see all that talent over there, I think would be huge. So I'm sure it's just going to take a little bit of time, but that was the big news of the week. Obviously we had some highlights as well with Being the Elite. One of my biggest highlights, I don't know if you've been a huge fan of this, but Broken Matt's wrestling terminology segment has become one of my new favorite things of all time.
Yes. This week was Gig. It's about when a person cuts himself to make him bleed. I was just like, and it was funny because of what ended up happening on Dynamite. We'll get to that later. But Matt and Nick were, and Kenny were, they were trying to get out of a meeting.
They didn't want to do media.
They didn't want to do media, so they seemed to gig, and they might have cut a little too deep.
Specifically, Kenny had a real big, lower midsection issue where it was just convulging on near his belly button. So it's definitely needed to be looked at. I'm glad the medical staff was able to get a look at that really quickly.
Yes, VT. Yeah, it was this week. It was very funny. I was all about it.
I loved Hangman when he was having I don't know what the fuck is up with Matt Hardy. It's like I just can't even handle. He's like, Benjamin Franklin, it's so good to see you, and I'm just like, oh god.
Apparently, Benjamin Franklin lives inside of the Hangman. That was great news. The great news to hear. The deities do float around and take over other people's bodies. Benjamin Franklin and Hangman, I don't know how that fits. Got to be real. I was going to say they went a little over my head there, but hey, it makes me laugh, so I'm down.
Yeah, there was a lot of funny moments. Definitely be sure to check out Being the Elite if you haven't seen it yet. And also, we had some quick matches that happened on AEW Dark. I'll run down the results for you guys if you didn't find out about them. We had Billy Gunn taking on John Skyler. Billy Gunn was able to pick up the victory. We had The Butcher and the Blade getting a victory over John Cruz and Joe Alonzo. Christy James was able to beat Killeen. I hope I pronounced that right. Killeen King.
Oh, Kylan King is...
Kylan King. My bad.
Yes,
apologies.
How I heard it pronounced.
Got it. And we also had PNP taking on EJ Lewis and Big Game Leroy. PNP ended up getting the victory, and it was finished off with the Natural Nightmares, QT Marshall, and Dustin Rhodes taking on Peter Avalon and Brandon Cutler. What a team they are. I'm sure there was no just bad blood between those two at all. But obviously, Natural Nightmare able to get the victory. And Allie was being on commentary for the matchup and was just praising the ground that QT walked on. And you could just see he was just like, I did it for you, baby. It's all for you. It's like he is smitten like you wouldn't believe.
I mean, I hope this doesn't offend anybody. But if Allie was giving me that kind of attention, I would pretty much do what she tells me to.
You can't really blame QT for the way he's acting. Like, yeah. I understand Brandy's being like, honey, she doesn't have your best interests in mind, but you can't tell me many fans, if they were being pursued by someone like Allie, that they wouldn't be like tunnel vision, like, oh my God, like this, I only care about this right now. I only care about this woman right here. That's like, yes, baby. Yes, baby.
She did cross the line from Floyd, though.
How was that?
She said she was having him go vegan. I don't care what you look like. That's when we break up. I don't. Floyd eats meat. He loves beef, steak, fish, all of it. So, yeah, a woman even suggested it's a vegan. Do you know I only have 2 words blocked on my Twitter? Ever. I've been on Twitter 10 years. 2 words blocked. Vegan and vegans. I don't even want to hear about it. I want meat.
Right. You know what? I can relate to that. I did end up having actually a relationship where my ex tried to get me to stop eating fast food, and I'm like, yeah, you gotta chill. I was like, yeah, that became the downward spiral. So it's just like QT. That should be like a little bit like keep that in the back of your mind as much as you can. So like you just realize maybe this isn't the best idea. So hopefully we'll see.
I will do anything for love, but I won't.
But I won't do that.
Yes.
I'm so glad we got a meatloaf reference in this show. It's been so long. We've needed one. Our show wasn't complete until we got a meatloaf reference. But that was AEW Dark. Again, check it on the AEW YouTube channel if you haven't seen it. But now let's get into AEW Dynamite of the week of 6/3/20, so June 3rd. And we opened up with the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page, versus Jimmy Havoc and Superbad Kip Sabian. They won a chance to take on the champions for the titles. And, of course, they were accompanied by Penelope Ford. And I was so glad to see this matchup because I think the team of Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian has been one that I was not expecting. It was actually a combination of 2 teams that I wasn't expecting to be going for the tag titles, going at each other. And I thought that was really cool because I think everybody, when AEW was first getting started, they were like, oh, the tag team championships are going to be held by like the Young Bucks. They'll take on like the Lucha Bros, or they're going to take on a Private Party or Best Friends or all this kind of stuff. But the fact that we're seeing such a different matchup like this, like one that I don't think a lot of fans thought we'd see for the tag titles, and to open up Dynamite, I think was a really, really cool choice. And it was a ton of fun to watch. A really good match for sure.
Yes. My breakdown of this match, I thought the commentary did a really good job talking about how long Hangman had been since he had actually wrestled on Dynamite. They even drove home the fact that there might be ring rust. So Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc, who haven't been tagging that long, but they have been tagging together more recently, that did set up for during the match when Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc had most of the offense and were controlling the match. It could have been mostly because Kenny Omega and Hangman, who are great individually, but hadn't tagged very long together. I just thought that was an important detail to drive home at the beginning of the match, because generally, if you're thinking about the tag team champions, and this team that hasn't been tagging together that long, you think quick match. But if you add in the idea of, them being like more together than the other tag team, that adds a different layer to the match, and why it went long. Kenny, a couple moves. Hangman looked like he was either rushing or he hadn't got his timing back on a few moves. I am completely okay with that. I don't know if he did that on purpose as to tell the story or if he really was like that. But thing I didn't know I needed in my life was Jimmy Havoc hitting somebody with a freaking wrench. And I just like, that's so Jimmy Havoc. And then when Penelope tried to interfere, I love that they made the ref authoritative. He caught her and he chunked her out of there.
Oh, yeah. It was a huge moment. And you can only imagine like just fans getting ready to throw her out of there if they were there. And I do agree with you. The fact that they were focusing on the fact that Hangman hadn't been teaming with Kenny recently because he's been away, it definitely added, because when you hear this matchup on paper, your instant reaction would be like, oh, well, the champions are going to go over. But with this added element, it really added a lot of like doubt that you would think like, well, maybe with this element being here, the champions could slip up and then just upset victory right here in these two. But that didn't end up happening. Hangman and Kenny were able to get the victory, and it was a great matchup. We also had, I will mention, we had Best Friends on the sidelines, obviously taking a look. They're going to be taking on the champions at Fyter Fest, and we also had FTR, who was at ringside, who's obviously gauging the whole tag team field since they debuted, and since they're really trying to just size everybody up, trying to see like the matchups they want to make and the rivalries they want to create. So
yes,
this is a really good opener.
Yes, that's kind of awesome with FTR being there as that ongoing presence. Like, if you look out there, you know we are coming. And it's like, even though everyone's building up to FTR versus the Bucks, that's the match they want. It was a very subtle reminder that FTR is here for the tag team titles. They are here to be the best, which is great. That's the point. That's what wrestling is for, and sometimes they get lost in things.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they're definitely making their presence known, because I think they're making sure people know that this team is one that needs to be feared. We had a short video package of Tully Blanchard really going after Shawn Spears for his performance at Double or Nothing, and talking about how the search for Spears is basically over with, and he had a case in his hand saying that he had the missing piece right here, and he pulled it out, and he gave Shawn Spears some fingerless black leather gloves, and basically I'm not sure exactly what they're trying to get over with that, but it seems like Shawn's going to be tapping into the darker side that he was getting into when he was the chairman.
You see, and that's what I'm here for. That is why I love you being my host, because then I can provide color, because I've been watching wrestling forever. So I know what this means. The black glove is a throwback to the actually Mid-South days and even earlier. Heels would wear the black glove because there was this man named Black Jack Mulligan. He rocked the black glove and he did the Iron Claw. There was, I believe, then there was Barry Windham, and then there was hold on, I'm saying the wrong name, Ted DiBiase. They all wore the black glove. The gimmick of the black glove, if you're not interested, if you didn't know, is that you have the black glove all the time. But what happens is, somewhere in the match, they put on a loaded black glove. They switch the black gloves, and they use it to knock out their opponent. The reason is you're always wearing a black glove, so the ref doesn't notice the difference between your regular black glove and this loaded black glove.
Okay, you know what? I completely missed that, and like I'm much more familiar with modern wrestling, and
yes.
Mid-South or Deep South wrestling I'm not too familiar with, so I'm very glad that you were able to enlighten me on that, and considering totally doing that definitely pays homage to that, and that's a really cool thing that they're bringing up. I truly did not know that, and I think that's a cool element that I think they're giving to Shawn.
Yeah, it is definitely a great element. Like, I popped when I saw it, and I saw a bunch of confusion online, so I was like itching for this moment when I got to explain it, because when I was young, we'd have little black baseball gloves where we cut the fingers off, so we would pretend to be these people. And it was important to me. It was like a big part of my childhood, something that had been lost, for like 20 some odd years since someone has, I think 20 years, like 30 years since someone has really donned the black glove in that meaning. It was like, that's what he's missing, the black glove. I loved it. I loved that was the missing piece. That is his tag team partner, if you will.
Yeah, I'm very excited now to see what Shawn does. So thank you, Floyd. I truly missed that. So I'm glad that you have enlightened me and hopefully enlightened our viewers who weren't completely sure what that move was. Now, after this, we had the Machine, Brian Cage, taking on Shawn Dean, and it was just a beatdown. And Brian Cage just took Shawn to work and just beat the living hell out of him. And Jon Moxley then came out after Taz got on the microphone and was going after Jon Moxley, basically saying that Brian Cage, he's the Machine, beat him if you can, survive him if he lets you. But then Moxley comes out, and then he goes after Taz, he goes after Brian Cage, saying that you have no idea what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a different breed of shark that's swimming over you because you're not ready for what I'm about to do to you. He's really telling Brian Cage, you may think you're something we've never seen before, but I'm something you've never seen before. And just build into this matchup they're having at Fyter Fest. It was really entertaining.
Yes, I thought this was a great interview. Taz is still getting his actual active member of the roster and his commentary legs under him. And not commentary, but promo legs under him. He hadn't done it in a long time, to build a storyline. So I can feel it, and I can feel him coming into his own as a manager. Because, Taz has never really been a manager. His role has been get Taz over, but now his focus is on getting the Machine over. I saw that little WWE in him because he said the Machine 8 times during the promo. It was like, yeah, he's the Machine. We get it. No,
put it on a shirt.
Yes. So no, but I love that. I love Taz really putting him over. Jon Moxley, it was funny because I never got Dean Ambrose. I didn't get him. I didn't understand I didn't understand what he was, who he was supposed to be. Right.
Well, I will say, WWE did a really bad job of actually portraying who he was.
I wasn't gonna take a shot at WWE. I was just gonna say I didn't. For that, when he first came out, he was kind of like the loose cannon, like a mix between Brian Pillman and Roddy Piper, and I got it. And then they kind of mixed his character up, and I never understood it. Mox, I get. I was going to say, yeah. Because I feel like when he was in the Shield, he was definitely the voice of the Shield. He was the guy who went haywire. He would just run his mouth. Seth was the architect, and Roman was the muscle. And it was just, that was fine. When he left the Shield, it was more so I remember there was so many times JBL on commentary would be like, he just does stuff. And I'm just like, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
So, no, but I 100% agree. When we know who Moxley is.
Yes, he is John McClane from Die Hard as a professional wrestler.
He really is, and that's the best thing ever.
He doesn't get scared. You know what I mean? He's like, okay, he gets through this one obstacle. Here's the next obstacle. Here's the next building I have to climb. Here's the next guy I got to fight. I'm not going to act scared because I got to fight you anyway. And it's amazing because it comes off this level of cool that you can't teach. And that's what I like about Mox.
The other thing too is that he doesn't just want to beat you. He wants to pulverize you. He's like, I don't want to just beat you in this match. I want to suplex you into a bed of barbed wire.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll get fucked up, but whatever. You're going to be even worse off.
Yeah, man, it comes down to it. He even said it. He's like, I'm beatable. I don't think I'm a machine. I am beatable. But it's going to take you all night. Everything you got to beat it. And it was just him calling out. It was him calling out Cage. Just like, yeah, if you're coming, pack a lunch. You know what I mean? Because you're going to be there the whole night trying to get rid of me. And I just really dug it. I just thought this came off as very subtly badass.
It's definitely a reason why Moxley is truly one of the best in AEW. He's just such a good talent.
Yeah, and like I say, you can just tell when people are allowed to be them, and that's what he is right now. He's just allowed to be Moxley, got the shoulders moving and all that stuff. He's not playing a character. He's just kind of him turned up to 12, and I feel that now.
That's the best way wrestlers get over is when you take your own personality, you turn it up to 11, and then you become larger than life. That's the best way to get a character over.
Yes, absolutely.
We then cut to a short little interview with Alex Marvez interviewing the Murder Hawk monster Lance Archer, who was just beating the hell out of some random guy and going at...
Color, it's not a random guy. It's Oklahoma's own El Fuego del Sol.
There's your context. I did not recognize that.
Yeah, again,
no disrespect.
He's an Oklahoma local wrestler. I've only seen him in Texas. I mean, he wrestles literally in Oklahoma and Texas. If you are not from Oklahoma and Texas, you're not supposed to know who he is. It just happens to be our local independent. He used to wrestle there every week. We've had multiple long conversations. I actually know him.
That's awesome, dude. I mean, I'm from well up north in Michigan, so I had no clue. But that's awesome that your boy got on there. That's super cool.
Yes, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, that's a fuego right there.
Small world.
Yeah.
But Lance Archer just goes off on the mic saying, you think one loss means anything to me? It means absolutely nothing. There's not a single person in AEW who's going to stop me. Not going to be a spot monkey. I'm going to be a monster. And when I say that everybody dies, I mean everybody dies. And then Jake the Snake just goes over to Alex like, I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry.
And I was going to add to this because I had a thought on this. I told you, we gave me that extra time to get ready for the show. I was like, I was going to take better notes.
Oh, yeah.
So I had better notes on this one. Jake, I had an initial problem because Jake, I felt like got himself over more than he got Lance over, right? This, if you saw him, he was playing fearful. He was afraid of what Lance was going to do, to the point where he's been mean to everybody. He apologizes to Alex Marvez because he didn't know if Lance was going to kill him or not. That got Lance over as that monster that even his manager's a little afraid of him.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering that loss for the TNT title, like, surely people thought, oh, Cody buried Lance Archer. Oh, Cody, but it's like, no. You just unlocked he hasn't even hit his final form. You just unlocked a new depth of Lance Archer now, to the point where even Jake the Snake is terrified.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's like, oh, man, the zookeeper has lost control of his animal.
Yeah, it's a great work by Jake for sure, and Lance is obviously looking like a killer who's just waiting to come back and then just wreak havoc.
Yeah, it makes me wonder who is going to be his victim. Who's
going to be on the wrong end of it?
Yeah. Who's he going to go after? I'm looking forward to that.
We'll have to keep an eye on that. We also had a small little segment with Private Party and Broken Matt Hardy, but not broken. He was kind of in his version 1, and he was not. Yes, he was not lad. He made sure to check up on Mark with his knee, and he talked about how he enjoyed the match and how working with them and your guys' bond reminds me of me and Jeff's, and they just had a little cool little moment.
Yeah, they went a little crazy, and I love that because I mean, seriously, that's exactly how it would be. It's like you just said we remind you of the Hardy Boys, and we're a tag team. I mean, that's kind of your goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not much higher to reach than where the Hardy Boys were at their time. They reached such a high level that the WWE had to break them up because there was nothing left to do as a tag team.
Exactly.
That's kind of your goal. So, yeah, I thought this was so dope. I thought this was like them just chilling, just so excited about being around him. He basically not offering to be their manager, but offering to guide them. And Matt transitioning maybe to a more off-the-screen character.
It's possible, yeah. It's very possible. We also had a small moment after that where Hardy walked by Sammy Guevara, who's still on his little mobility scooter, and he was just like, hey, man, hey, we're totally cool. It's all right. Respect. And Sammy's looking like, wait a minute, this guy was cheering me on about to get killed. What the hell? Like, I thought that was really funny.
Yes, I thought that was pretty funny and confusing. I want to see Sammy, I want to see the serious side of Sammy. I want to see him attack him like, oh, you made me limp. We're not friends. We're not cool because you say we're cool. We're cool when I say I'm cool. I just want to see that edge to Sammy because I love funny Sammy. Don't get me wrong, but I need that heel kind of psychotic edge that he might get from being around Chris Jericho.
Yeah, you definitely take a look at it and you think that I love Sam. He's slowly become one of my favorite people in AEW. But with the inner circle, it feels like with the singles competitors, it goes Jericho, Hager, and Sammy. And I think Sammy's when he can really tap into just a pure anger and just he's not being cocky when he's done being cocky and he wants to just rip your head off. I think there'll be a completely different element to it. And I think once we see that, it's going to make Sammy seem even more dangerous. So I think you and I are both waiting for that moment to see what if Sammy ends up getting pushed over the edge and just when he comes back healthy, if he just goes after somebody, like maybe Matt Hardy.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to see angry Sammy. I've seen happy Sammy. I've seen funny Sammy. I've even seen kind of sadistic Sammy. I want to see angry Sammy.
Yeah, I do too. After this, we had Boom Boom Cole Cabana taking on Le Champion Chris Jericho with the Inner Circle on his side, and of course Sammy came out. And I'm a musician. I have to comment on this, Sammy. You once again killed it. No notes for you whatsoever. Continue doing your dream. So I can't comment on anything else that he did. It was amazing. And yeah, I mean, I was really excited to see this matchup because I love Cole. I think he's great. I think Jericho's amazing, and I was really excited to see this matchup. And I think it definitely delivered. What did you think, man?
Yeah, there was one sequence where Colt was going for his Superman pin, one of the moves I hate in the world, and Jericho reversed it into the walls of Jericho. I just thought that was so amazing. I thought that was a great transition. And it was funny because I hate his move, but I love Colt Cabana. I think he does a great job of being funny, but still doing it in a serious way. He doesn't go full like Yano. You know what I mean? There's this special spot for Colt Cabana where he's somewhere between funny, comedy, and I'm trying to win the match, and I think he did that well. The spot where they actually went into the Judas effect, I thought was really cool because kind of shows how Jericho can get it out of anywhere. But I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was just a great TV match. I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and one thing I also really liked, the small thing I noticed, was a comment made by Tony Schiavone, where he brought up the fact that a week ago the Dark Order showed that they were interested in Colt Cabana, and seeing how well Colt did in this match, he was like, you can obviously see why, but then also with him losing this match too, it continues that slight seed of, is Colt Cabana going to follow the ways of the Dark Order? And I thought that was a really cool seed that they planted right there. And then after the matchup, we had Chris Jericho continuing to call out Mike Tyson, talking about Tyson versus Jericho as the fight everyone wants to see. He continued to call out the baddest man on the planet. He wants it so bad. Where's the baddest man on the planet? Freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy comes out. Not who I'd expect to answer the call of baddest man on the planet, but I respect his willpower. I respect everything that he does to just be like, yeah, I'm the baddest man on the planet, and then comes out and then just kind of just forces Jericho's hands into his belt straps, into his pockets. But yeah, then Jericho tried to go after Orange Cassidy, but he was able to escape and get back with his best friends. And yeah, I was very entertained by seeing Freshly Squeezed being the man who answered baddest man on the planet.
OC might not be the baddest man on the planet. He's the quickest because with his hands in his pockets, he cannot be touched. His maneuverability to get out the ring and find. You know what? Orange Cassidy, you know what? He might be a sloth, but he's not a dumb sloth. I'm going to go find my friends. So if you got to fight me, you're going to have to fight all three of us. And I just love it. The build to a Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy match is everything I didn't know I needed in my life.
Yeah, and I think something tells me this is definitely something that's going to continue on. So I'm excited to see, because I'm sure Jericho is just wanting to just rip OC apart.
He absolutely, definitely wants to rip OC apart.
We then had a small little training video that was aired to talk about Dr. Britt Baker's road to recovery, which was a nice little thing. And then I was so happy to see this. We got to see the girl Big Swole get a matchup on Dynamite against the native beast Nyla Rose. Obviously, she was one of my favorite parts of Dynamite. I mean, of Double or Nothing. Just running her mouth at everybody. Just didn't give a damn. I was so excited to see Big Swole take on Nyla. However, was not able to take down Nyla, obviously former women's champion. It would have been a tough matchup, but I was very excited to see her get some time to shine on Dynamite. But Nyla Rose is definitely still making her name mean something, because after losing her title, she's making sure she's still in that picture to come get her title back.
Yes, and I did like the modified finisher. Had Swole going for her finisher, but Nyla caught her and then hit her with that power bomb out of almost like a spine buster position. I thought that was really unique. I like building up, Nyla as still dominant and still the force in the division, which is very important to establish her at. And I like they established that Swole went away, came back a little bit fired up, and she's getting closer and closer. Maybe eventually she does beat Nyla, but I do like they showed the subtle improvement in Big Swole.
Yep, and we also had a small little encounter after the match between Swole and Britt Baker, because she tried to hit Swole after the matchup, but Big Swole was able to throw a metal chair at her because she had it was like a car that was also a throne that she was sitting on. Like, I couldn't fully tell what it was. It was like a car that had a throne on top of it, and then Swole threw a chair at Britt Baker, and then Britt Baker ran to the back. So I bet we're going to be seeing these two go at each other pretty soon.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I imagine they're building that to the all-out match, which is when Britt Baker can come back. I'm loving Rebel or Reba in the role that she's playing now, because she used to be a wrestler. She used to be on TV all the time in Impact as Rebel, but now she's doing this for Britt Baker, and her expressions and her looks on her face are a perfect tone for the abuse that Britt is giving her.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. We had a small interview with Darby Allin with Tony Schiavone, where Tony talked about how Darby was not able to get into the ring this week, but Darby just responded with saying, "Life's one big joke, but Brian Cage, I'm getting the last laugh." So Darby's not finished with Brian Cage. So yeah, and then one of the big highlights of this week's Dynamite was the interview with interview with Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler with Tony Schiavone. I was so excited to see this because, I mean, like I said, this has been one of my favorite things to happen in AEW. I've been waiting so long for these two to show up, and just having them get on with Tony Schiavone to just kind of talk about what they were planning on doing, I was super excited with. And we also got to see Butcher and Blade be like, "Oh, you think you're just going to get in the way of what we were trying to do?" And seems like these two are going to go at it pretty quickly.
Yes, this took me back into my time machine 30 years ago when it was Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard being interviewed by Tony Schiavone. The fact that the tag team division has a segment where a tag team is being interviewed and they're building it like the best tag team in the world is coming to AEW. Just like, when is the last time you've seen this type of focus on tag team wrestling? And they sat there, and you want to talk about a picture-perfect tone. They literally put over every team in the company except the Young Bucks. they put over.
Yep.
They said proud and powerful. They did say Lucha Bros don't do tag team wrestling. They said they're going to teach them real tag team wrestling, which, requires you to tag. But they literally put over Private Party, SCU. They put over everybody in the company except the Young Bucks, forcing Tony to ask, well, what about the Young Bucks? And they say, like, you know what? They're not a dream match for us, which is cool. They how completely no-selling the Young Bucks that is, to say the match with them is not even a dream match. Oh man, that was crazy. And they say they've been waiting 5 years to confront them for something that was said 5 years ago. I love it. I just love this long-term storytelling and this bitterness, and just think, something you put out on Twitter can come back to haunt you in the wrestling. I love it. I'm looking forward to them going in the future. And then the Butcher and the Blade coming to get them some. I dug it, I'm telling you, it's 1985, 86, Jim Crockett wrestling, the people coming in interviews. It's like, how did they get in the house? And then all of a sudden there's like 20 other people, obviously the Kramer crew, but it was crazy. I enjoyed it. Save it. And he's like, you know what? We're businessmen. Very another old school Hill thing. We're businessmen. We're not going to fight you here. There's no money in fighting you here. We'll see you next week in the ring. Boom. Love it. No flips, just fist.
Oh, yeah. These two have been proven how well they're going to be working with being in AEW. I loved how they also talked about, like, if we face the Young Bucks, like, we don't want them to be, like, we don't want to beat them up beforehand and, like, have any doubts of being like, well, you only won because of this, or, well, you only won because of that. It's like, we want you to be as healthy as you can possibly be. So when we beat you, you have nothing you can say. There's not a single thing you can say. So I love the inclusion of that. And like you said, like, just the way they're carrying themselves, just this utter confidence of just like, we know we are the greatest tag team, and there's not a single person on this roster who's going to be able to touch us. These guys, when they get in the ring, they're going to just go crazy.
Yeah, and you know what? And they didn't do the cheap thing. You know, the cheap thing is you get on the thing with Tony Schiavone, and everybody's expecting you to bury your old company. They didn't even mention the old company.
No,
I
they didn't.
loved that. It's not about them. It's about us. And like I said, they have this championship swagger. You would have thought they walked in with the belts, with the way they talk. You know, talk tough, hit hard. I mean, again, I am the biggest FTR fan. Understand, you will not get any. It's going to be not. It's going to be very biased conversation when it comes to FTR. But I thought they did everything they could to establish themselves as a force going forward.
And right before the main event, we had another backstage interview with Alex Marvez, who interviewed Colt Cabana about his loss. But Mr. Brody Lee showed up to interrupt, and then just told Colt, "Listen, it's what you do after a loss that matters, and I can help you with that." So he just kind of like keeps that door open for Colt, and then walks off. So again, the future of Colt possibly joining the Dark Order, we're not 100% sure of, but it's definitely something fans are keeping their eyes on.
He checks all the marks. Former college football player. He's about 6'2". He's a big old dude. I mean, it's literally, he checks all the boxes that the Dark Order requires.
There you go. So you know what? I mean, it seems like it might be an inevitability. Yeah. But we finished off with the main event, the TNT Championship Open Challenge by Cody. His first defense with the title against Jungle Boy Jack Perry. First defense of this title. And first off, big shouts for this being the main event, because making your secondary title a main event on your TV show is a big way of getting it over. I think it was great placement for that. I'm super glad they ended up going off with that. And this match was a lot of fun to watch. There was a ton of energy in it, great spots, great performance by Jungle Boy. Cody obviously is freaking unbelievable, and for a first title defense, I think it was really freaking good, and I was super, super happy with the way that it turned out.
Cody will bleed for you. He will go through a table for you. He will do anything he thinks it takes to entertain you. It is the big over-the-top nature of wrestling, and that's what Cody brings to it. The headbutt to the wall, that's what busted him open. But before that, we had that him and Jungle Boy going through a table, or maybe that was after it. I don't remember. Him throwing him into the gun club. It was just like move after move, and it was building towards that climactic end. Cody I'm just looking forward to the weeks going as he continues these matches. And it's funny because it's not really a super open challenge. Everybody compares it to Cena's open challenge, and I'm like, it's really not that, because this one was a guy that won the Battle Royal. Mark Quinn next week is established contender. Cody didn't go out to the middle of the ring and say, hey, who's coming out? You know, these are people that are being lined up to fight Cody. I mean, it's not, like I said, a traditional open challenge, but you are going to get a singles match from Cody, one of the biggest draws on the roster every week, which is a strong idea.
Yeah, it's a really strong idea, and I think it's a good way of differentiating from that open challenge, because the comparisons were right out the gate with it. So the way they're choosing to differentiate from that is a good way of making theirs seem unique in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I could not agree more. I just think, they are doing their best to make it a whole different thing.
Yep, and Cody ended up winning his first title defense against Jungle Boy with a completely vicious crossroads. Like, he just looked like Jungle Boy just went head first on that and picked up the victory, gave him a little hug after the pinfall. And it was a great match, great way to finish off the show. And like I said, up next week, we have the second title defense being against Mark Quinn of Best Friends, which that match is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And we have even more on the horizon for next week's episode of Dynamite. We have that match. We have Best Friends with Orange Cassidy taking on the Inner Circle. And so Santana and Ortiz with Jake Hager. And we also have FTR competing in their first AEW matchup against Butcher and Blade. And then we have Sammy Guevara taking on Colt Cabana with Chris Jericho, Le Champion, going to be on commentary. So it's going to be a very entertaining episode of Dynamite going forward.
Happy birthday to me. On my birthday, I get Cody versus Mark Quinn, which I get Cody. And then I get FTR versus Butcher and the Blade. I'm looking forward to both those matches. FTR, is going to show you that they can wrestle and have tag team matches with people of different sizes. Because Butcher and the Blades are some big old boys, and they hit hard. I am looking forward to this. I generally have to work Wednesdays, so I am usually noting or trying to tweet, note, and do my regular job while watching the show. And if you have ever tried to do all those things at the same time, it's damn near impossible. That's why I always end up watching. Everyone wonders because I always say I watch Dynamite twice. And it's not to show that I'm super dedicated. I miss a lot the first time, almost every time, because I'm working. I'm literally at work when the show's on. So I watch it the second time because I know I missed a lot. So I'm looking forward to actually being able to sit in front of a TV with my wife and watch some good old AEW wrestling, and I'll be able to react just like everybody else on Twitter and all those things. That'll make me very happy. I'm very excited to the Sammy G Colt Cabana match. Anytime Sammy G's in a singles match, that makes me happy. That was because that was the first time I saw him was in a singles match, and it was like, oh, this kid's a star, and it's like just to see him a few years later killing it is amazing.
Oh yeah, and if Cody better win on your birthday, like this is a must. Yeah. Because if he loses on your birthday, like that's gonna be a stab in the heart.
Yeah, I need Cody and FTR to make it a clean sweep on my birthday, or I will be crying just a bit.
And you guys don't want to have Floyd's tears on your doorstep. You better make this boy proud.
Yes, I will post a video of me crying if they lose. No,
you will feel so bad.
Yes, you will feel so bad that you ruined my 39th birthday that I'm not allowed to go anywhere on. Because
exactly.
You all know if this was a live audience, no matter where it was in the United
States,
would have
been there.
I would have been there on my birthday. But this is not something that can happen now. First world problems, because that's not a problem. It's not. It's like I'm complaining about it, but is it like really a problem? No, it's not a problem. I don't get to go watch wrestling shows, which I saw like 50 last year or some shit like that. It was some stupid number, but. Yeah, so I am very excited for that. I'm just hoping it knocks it out the park to build up to Fyter Fest. I'm also I'm thinking ahead to Fyter Fest. Who's Cody gonna wrestle? Who's FTR gonna wrestle? They're gonna have some type of match, or or is it gonna be game? Is it still gonna be game themed? I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we got a lot to look forward to. Yeah, we want to thank you guys so much for joining us here on this episode. If you want to follow myself on Twitter, again, you can follow me at @SZimmerFloyd, at @SZimmer4, not @SZimmerFloyd. That's not my Twitter
not a thing.
That's somebody else. I don't know who that is.
Yes, that's not a Twitter. I don't believe.
If you want to follow Floyd, again, say your Twitter handle.
It is at Floyd Johnson Jr. Just my name.
All right. Do you want to close this out, buddy?
Yes. This week we've had to deal with a lot of stuff. We've had no power over the change. Like I said, I can't do anything for my birthday. There's a lot more serious problems out there, way more serious than that. I will just offer this. Make sure you help where you can, donate where you can, do what you can. Just do your best to be a good human. You know, that's really what I want you to do. But whether you are at home, you're out volunteering or protesting, or you're at school doing your best to study and improve on your future, always do your best to be elite.